How's it going, everybody? And welcome to another episode of the Barely There podcast. As always, I'm Duke Coughlin. You can follow me on Twitter at that pod guy Duke. As always, I'm joined by the Ayatollah of Capicola, the Italian stallion himself at Lucas Perfetti, Mr. Lucas Perfetti at Lucas Perfetti 46 on Twitter. Be sure to follow the pod on Twitter as well. Barely There pod. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you want to go. Smash that like button and bear the fuck down, as Lucky Spag says. And hey, be sure to subscribe if you're over on YouTube as well, just so you know when the live stream hits, so we can get in the comment sections, baby. But anyway, after a pretty big trade deadline, obviously, that brings Chase Claypool to the Chicago Bears. We have some interesting stuff to talk about moving forward into this Miami Dolphins game. You know, I feel like people are getting lost at the idea that we still have to play a game on Sunday, you know? I mean, Chase Claypool showing up at Hallis Hall. We're all getting the taped up Mitch jerseys on Twitter as well that we're seeing. That's kind of showing it's got that off-season feel, that off-season excitement, but we got a game to play on Sunday, man. So, Lucas, how you feeling, man? The betting line right now is sitting where it sits, I guess.
Do you not have it up? Do you need me to pull it up?
I don't. I'm on the schedule. My bad. All right, so I got it.
Okay.
So the Bears right now at the spread is plus 4.5. Money line's plus 175, and the over/under is 45.5, and that is with trading away Roquan Smith, Robert Quinn the week before, and the Bears getting Chase Claypool on offense, potentially kind of stretch it out a little bit more. So, Lucas, how you feeling about these lines? How you feeling about the spread? Are we hammering the over or are we hammering the under?
Tell me the over/under one more time, because I got lost in the spread being 4.5.
45.5.
Okay. Now, it seems very much so like a trap, but
you say this every single week.
Because that number's because I think so. What's happening here and why I say it feels like a trap is that every single week the offense that the Bears are putting out, Vegas lines have not caught up with it, right? And I think we're going to kind of dive into some of those statistical stats from the Dolphins, because they might not be as good as you think, which could lower that over total in general. But I mean, the Bears have put up points against a couple pretty good defenses back to back with the Patriots and the Cowboys. So, you know, and say what you will, if you think some of those points were in garbage time, all the points scored by the Bears, other than one touchdown, I believe, in the Cowboys game was not garbage time. It was in the midst of a comeback, and they got to within striking distance of the Cowboys. So I'm not going to call that garbage time, but yeah, I like the over a lot. I would assume to hammer it, especially with losing our inside linebacker, who is pretty damn good in pass coverage. And now you have a quarterback that's pretty limited in terms of what he can do over the top, but very good underneath, accurate, precise, gets the ball out quickly underneath. So, you know, I would assume that they're going to be able to take advantage of some of those things. So I feel very good about the over, and that's probably what I would lock up if I had to pick one bet on the slip. And then, to be honest, man, usually I'm definitive about the 4.5, but 4.5 seems like such an appropriate number. Like, that's right on the money. Because you're asking the Dolphins to essentially win by a touchdown. So, you know, if I'm betting the Dolphins, I'm buying it to 6.5. I'm not going to take a 5-point spread, but if you're taking the Bears, it's nice because you get more than a field goal, right? If you get into one of those 23-27 type games that we see happen all the time. So really just go with your gut on that. But if you are going to take Miami, I would definitely buy them down to -6.5. Me personally, I like the Bears plus 4.5. I think with what the trade, I mean, even though we lost talent and we talked about that, if you want to hear all about the trades that happened with Roquan Smith and Chase Claypool, go back, listen to the last episode, because we break it down a ton. But I just feel like there's kind of a different feeling in the air here, because everyone knows that Justin Fields is the guy now. So I think they're going to be able to carry some momentum into this game.
Yeah, no, it seems like the offense is kind of firing on all cylinders in respect to the idea that we can set our game plan around Justin's strengths, and we can feel really confident that will equal points. You know what I mean? He's been hitting everything he needs to hit. You know, he's been hitting some really good deep throws, even on plays that aren't getting completed. They're right there. You know, I mean, we've never doubted his deep accuracy. He's getting really crafty in the pocket. Honestly, it's getting really impressive to see where his awareness is compared to where it was early on in the season, where he became really paranoid. He was scared to throw the ball. I feel like he was just really scared to make mistakes at the beginning. And it kind of hit a certain point in the season where it's like, listen, man, mistakes are going to happen whether or not I try to make them happen. So we might as well just fucking ball, And I feel like a lot of that came after the Commanders game. That was kind of a wake up moment for him. I feel like it was a situation where like we were already trending in the right direction, but you could still kind of see that Justin was still holding back a little bit, kind of as you said, throw the fucking ball, Justin. I think a lot of that was him being really scared to make a mistake, and that's just something we haven't seen the past few weeks, and it's something that I hope continues to move in that direction. But something that you did bring up that I feel like is obviously going to be something really important, I think we should start out with it, is the fact that we are going to have to compensate with the fact that we do not have one of the best coverage linebackers in football in the middle anymore. It's something that we're just genuinely going to have to deal with, especially if we end up sitting in nickel quite a bit, which we have been doing really the entire season, which is
Their
something
personnel is going to call for nickel.
Yeah, and that's what we kind of called that way back in the offseason, that this is going to be kind of the base formation for Eberflus's 4-3 defense was going to be out of the nickel. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the linebacker pairings are on Sunday. Obviously it would be criminal if I didn't bring it up, and the giant elephant in the room, it looks like our boy Jack Sanborn's going to get an opportunity on Sunday.
There you go. Get it out there.
But are we going to see him in nickel? Is it going to be a situation where he only gets an opportunity in base? Like that could really dictate what we're going to be doing. Obviously we still have Joe Thomas on the team. We still have Nicholas Moreau on the team. We still have, I believe something's going to be, I have to think fucking Matt Adams is going to be back here fairly soon, right? I don't think he's out for the season. I think he got tossed in the IR, but he's got to be getting close to his window to return. So there's going to be things to mix up.
I think we saw Sanborn get worked in a little bit last week. So I think that's, I think it's fair to say that I think they're trying to get him in there and trying to see what he's about.
Yeah, no, it's going to be more or less seeing him in nickel, because I feel like we saw a lot of Sanborn in base. Base 4-3. I should elaborate on that. Can't talk today, but it's a situation where I'm actually really interested to see some Sanborn in nickel, because I know it's preseason, but when he was playing in the nickel in the preseason, he actually did look pretty impressive. He looked very instinctual. He didn't look very lost in coverage, honestly. I mean, obviously that can change when you're dealing with the gaggle of weapons that we're going to be dealing with against the Miami Dolphins, but it's going to be interesting to see what those linebacker pairings go on. And it's going to show how much Eberflus and Alan Williams trust him, or who they're going to trust to be in that situation, because, say what you want. And I've seen a lot of it on Twitter, and that's fine. This always happens when the Bears trade away a pretty significant player. We have to take it as we won. Obviously, we have to beat our chests and act like we won every single trade that we've ever made in the history of mankind. But we're going to have to replace that type of production in the middle. It's one of those things, it's a pretty rough, it's a pretty rough situation, but it's going to be a situation where we're going to get some help with AJ Klein, as weird as that might sound, because I don't think AJ Klein's really a needle mover by any stretch of the imagination. But obviously if they included him and packaged him in that trade, we obviously have a plan for him. It wasn't a situation where this is a guy we're just going to cut or toss on the practice squad. It's pretty obvious that he'll probably end up being on the active roster on Sunday. So yeah, I don't know, Lucas, how are you kind of feeling about the situation? Because I feel like we're going to get really creative, and I feel like we're going to see a lot of different linebackers out there this first week, and then maybe get a little bit of solidarity moving forward.
I mean, I still think you see Moreau out there pretty constantly, even though he had a really rough game last week, but I think he's going to be your guy that's going to be covering the wide side, or the wide side of the field, the hash and a half or whatever it is, depending on where it's at. But I think he's going to take over those Roquan responsibilities. And I know he's been I saw that too, Duke, don't worry about it. And I know he's going to be pretty involved here, right? So I'm just kind of worried, because I know he's not the same guy. He is pretty fast though. He was known for that, being able to go sideline to sideline in Oakland or Las Vegas, whatever you want to call it. And, I understand, I was extremely hyped up about Nicholas Moreau coming on. I really was, but he hasn't played up to standards. I think we're going to see him there, and I think we're going to see Sanborn kind of in more of the Nicholas Moreau role in nickel. But that all remains to be seen. I think the reality is they're going to have an enormous test. So throwing people out there and rotating them, I don't know if that's the way to go. Realistically, I wonder if we're going to see Klein at all. That's who came back in that trade as well, which average veteran linebacker. So maybe he's going to get slotted in. I'm not sure, but I'm kind of puzzled for it. I'm just hoping for your sanity, the fact that Roquan left. I hope Sanborn plays because I know you might blow a fucking gasket.
Well, I mean, it feels like it's ramped up to this. It feels like we've been moving in this direction. And honestly, how many snaps he got in the Dallas game, which was something that I don't think we were totally prepared for. There hadn't really been a lot of talk about Jack Sanborn, I think, since Matt Adams went down originally, and we all kind of thought that he would be the guy, taking over that role, where it ended up being more Joe Thomas more than anything. So it's going to be interesting to see, like, if last week was kind of the ramp up and now we're going to see a heavy set of them, because I don't know. I think it would be a good idea to at least test it out, dude. And as much as I love Jack Sanborn, like, if it doesn't pan out, now is the time to figure out if it's not going to pan out. So like, that's why I see us kind of really mixing it in. Nicholas Moreau, as bad as he played last week, Lucas, he's probably our best. Like,
he's the best linebacker on the team right now.
Man. There's just no way denying that.
Yeah.
So like, I would be shocked if he left the field really much at all. Maybe catch a breather here and there where you mix another guy in and see what another pairing looks like. But it's going to be a lot of Nicholas Moreau.
Yeah, and like, honestly, I feel like this could almost kind of lead into the Miami Dolphins offense and how our defense can play them, because like, there's part of me that just wishes this trade deadline was pushed back one more week. Like, if there's 1 week we needed Roquan Smith, I think this was the week, especially with how Miami likes to run a ton of in-breaking routes across the middle of the field, because that's what Tua likes to do, and that's his comfort zone. He's able to get the ball out quickly and accurately to his playmakers, and then they're able to make plays after the catch. So one strategy that I noticed Pittsburgh 2 weeks ago employ, I watched the whole game actually. I had Tyreek Hill as my fantasy player. So I was watching the whole Pittsburgh game, and they just brought their linebackers out a little bit deeper, right? Like, just come in and cut that off. We're going to move our safeties up, and we're going to fucking drop our linebackers back. And we want to see you either fit it into that tight window or essentially make us start playing our safeties back, because now I feel like I would assume that Matt Eberflus is looking at that Pittsburgh tape, because they started off really fucking fast and Pittsburgh made a couple adjustments and it seemed like they couldn't really move the ball very much. And I think they only won that game like 16-14 or something stupid like that. So I don't know, man. It's a tough week to not have Roquan Smith, because I do feel like that throwing across the middle of the field in the 8 to 12 yard range, like, that is the Miami Dolphins offense. That's something that Roquan Smith was very good at doing, or very good at defending. So I think realistically, we're going to feel the loss of Roquan Smith a lot this week, to be honest. I hope Nicholas Moreau is able to kind of pick up the bill and they can play team defense to, like I said, drop those linebackers back a little bit, bring those safeties up, and really make it tough on Tua and make him do things that he's not very good at, right? But I guess that's a tale to be seen. It's something that we're going to have to live with. Roquan Smith is no longer a Bear. He's on the Ravens. He's wearing number 18 or something weird. I don't like that.
Yeah, no, it is number 18.
Yeah.
I wish, I don't know who wears number 3 for fucking Baltimore, but I actually really wanted to see him go back to his college number. I thought that would have been cool. But it's obvious he's trying to keep 8 in there somewhere, but he can't take 58 because I think fucking Bowser or whatever the hell has 58.
They all have their whole like linebacking core comes back this week, and they got back. So if you're looking for a nice bet, I would hammer the fucking Ravens.
Yeah, well, let's not talk about the Ravens too much. I'll have Brisker Obsessor fucking tell me to go join their fan base, but
yeah, right.
That's just hilarious because whatever, that doesn't matter. But I'm kind of with you on this, and the more I think about it, the more it really does not match up well in this game.
It's a really bad matchup.
Because with the underneath, that's a situation where you'd almost ideally want to play press and try to get the front four to the quarterback, but that's just flat out not going to fucking happen. Tua's going to have some time back there, and while they don't have the greatest offensive line, especially with Liam Eichenberg getting tossed onto the IR this week, that's a pretty big blow because I believe he was playing right guard for him. it's not a great offensive line, but we just have not proven that we can consistently get to the football, and they do have two pretty good solid tackles in Armstead and I'm not sure what the other guy's name is off the top of my head, but it would be ideal if we played press and we got pressure, but we really can't afford to send linebackers right now, especially because we don't have that guy to be able to stay back and really cover the middle of the field. Moreau can try to do that, but that's something that can get exposed if we try to do that too often. So we're in a situation where we're probably going to play out of the nickel, play quite a bit of cover 2, Tampa 2, obviously, and a little bit of cover 3, probably keep the guy over the top. It would be nice to have the safeties play up a little bit more. Honestly, it wouldn't even bother me that much to see DHC get some snaps on Sunday, possibly with a safety playing up in the box and be able to have a guy play back. A guy like Brisker being able to play in the box, maybe even be that that strong side linebacker and nickel. That really wouldn't offend me a lot. But it has yet to be seen. We have not seen that look from Matt Eberflus at all this year. I can't tell you if he's really uses his safeties much as linebackers in previous years, because it's not something that I really saw a lot. And the Colts really didn't have a ton at safety for the most part throughout his tenure, besides like a Malik Hooker who really couldn't stay healthy. But it's going to be interesting to see how we kind of try to counteract that, because obviously you want to dare Tua to throw deep. You know what I mean? Like, you want to dare him to take that shot. And obviously he's going to see a Tyreek Hill down the field, and you want to bait him into that throw to get like an Eddie Jackson over the top to make that fucking interception or make that deflection. But that's just, we have to be able to stop the underneath to be able to do that. And we have to be able to stop the run. This is a team that just got they have Raheem Mostert back. They just got Jeff Wilson. These are guys that are very familiar with the Mike McDaniel system. So
I'm not worried about the run game at all, to be honest. I get it.
I would say that if we were not just so bad at stopping the run, and now we do not have Roquan Smith, who everybody claims was terrible at tackling, like, it just doesn't bode very well for us, in my opinion. Like, they're gonna get these guys out in space. They're gonna try to tear us up in the middle, and see how that ends up working. But I don't know. We like this matchup, like you said, with this Roquan trade. I wish the deadline would have been moved back another fucking week, because this just does not bode well with what we're doing right now. And we just do not have a pass rush to speak of, besides a guy like Travis Gibson and Dominique Robinson every once in a while. But like, I don't know, man. It's something. It's a situation where I could see us getting into a shootout more than anything. And the secondary is really going to have to play on top of their fucking game, because this is going to be one of the more talented wide receiver groups. This is probably better than Dallas's wide receiver group that we saw last week. 100%. And Dallas chopped us a fucking apart. I mean, obviously Dak's got a little bit more of a deep ball than a guy like fucking Tua. Well, actually, he's a far better deep ball than a guy like Tua, but still, we were getting killed at the point of attack. And that's something that just can't happen this week if we want to have any sort of success.
He also had tons of time, and you're talking. I see that's where I disagree with you, because I feel like their offensive line is nothing compared to Dallas's offensive line. So getting pressure, and that's another thing too. Tua does like to release the ball pretty quickly here. So like, I don't think a pass rush would be that big of a factor in general in this game. I think it's more of that middle of the field and our safeties and linebacker core, as well as corners, of course, but that back seven, I guess you would say, instead of the front seven, or back six, or however the fuck you want to phrase it. Cause I'm sure 17 people will tell me that, the technicalities of what a fucking, this is, I don't want to say specific examples, because then they'll know who I'm talking about. But either way, right? Like, I don't need to. It's the fucking back end of the defense. I think it's going to be a bigger test for them, realistically. And I think those wide receivers are tough. The one note I will say is, if I see Jalen Johnson on someone other than Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle, because they might be flipping sides, whatever, like, he needs to travel. If they're going to be stacked on the same side, he needs to travel to that side, because there should be zero reason. Both of those guys are premier receivers, and I think they're 100 times better than the fucking Dallas Cowboys receiving core, to be honest. I think Tyreek Hill right now is leading the league in receiving yards, and then Jalen Waddle is fucking just tearing it up. Top 10 pick, whatever he was, number 6, right? So yeah, I do see it being a shootout. Good call, Spags. But no, I really think it's going to depend a lot on the linebacker play, and it's a big fucking question mark right now, to be honest. In terms of rushing, maybe they try to take advantage of it, because maybe the Bears do go with a strategy where they're dropping their linebackers a little bit deeper to take away those middle of the field routes, and then they start to run the ball. But I mean, they're averaging less than 90 yards a game, so that's not their biggest factor. That's not their game. You would think they would want to come in and and work their strength against us instead of going with their weakness because it's our weakness, right? You would think they'd want to go strength against strength there. So that's just my opinion on it. I don't know. I just know that I don't think Tua is very good. I think the team itself is awesome. They've surrounded him with a ton of fucking talent. There's a ton of superstar players there, making his job a lot easier. But honestly, you kind of think about what the Dolphins have done and how they turned, Tunsil into the Trey Lance pick that now got them Bradley Chubb, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle. Like, I can only hope to God, and I'm not saying that the Dolphins organization is great, and they're the standard, but like I can only hope to God that we're able to invest in Justin Fields like that. Because me and Duke were talking about before the show, if Justin Fields had this type of offense, it would be fucking unfair. Like, it would be off to the races. Tua is very limited in what he can do, and what he does well, he can do it extremely efficiently, right? But it limits your offense. So, I think it's really going to live there in that linebacker to safety fucking window. And are we going to be able to go ahead and get some of those deflections, some of those pass deflections, because the ball's going to be coming out quick.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows, dude? This could be the Jack Sanborn game. We don't know. This could be the Joe Thomas game. This could be a linebacker that's been waiting for a freaking opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, pressure creates diamonds. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying it's going to fucking happen because, in all honesty, it's kind of working against us that it will happen. But who knows? Honestly, being able to have that type of linebacker in the middle of the field can do a lot for this defense, and it can do a lot from making Tua think twice about throwing over the middle of the field. That's why also I wouldn't mind seeing us play around with moving Brisker up, because Brisker can take a block if they were to hit the situation and run. I feel like we need to have Tua think twice, and that extra second can potentially get us a fucking better pass rush. Because I'm looking at the injury report right now. I don't want to go too deep into it quite yet because, in all honesty, there's not like a ton. But Brandon Shell is their starting right tackle, and he's looking questionable right now. So that could be something that can be exposed. I think this would be a good game for Trevis Gibson to really kind of have his like, hey, I'm here. I'm going to be a fucking, long-term piece here on the edge, which I feel like Trevis has been really good about getting pressure, but being able to get pressures out of coverage is what makes the Tampa 2 tick. You know what I mean? Like, being able to get pressure from the front four allows players to be able to play a little bit more aggressive in a zone. So that's where it's going to be that's where we're going to be at our absolute best. But I don't see Tua like completely gashing us through the air, but we need to be able to have somebody step up in the middle and be able to fucking take that step. You know what I mean?
I don't see him consistently making the throws that hurt us, but I wouldn't be shocked if he has 300 yards at the end of the game because of what his receivers do.
Well, dude, all you have to do is throw it to Tyreek Hill and let him run 60 yards. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Like, and we're going to see a ton of screens. So tackling is going to be super important in this game. Wrapping up, making sure you're bringing guys to the ground. Good pursuit angles, not falling for the bait on screens because, I mean, that's what they run. That's what they do. And they have the fucking playmakers to do it. So that's the scary part about this offense. It's funny, though, because we keep getting told how unimportant the inside linebacker or off-ball linebacker, if you really want to be fucking trendy. But yeah, how important or how unimportant off-ball linebackers are. And then for this specific matchup, it's kind of highlighted like, fuck, dude, an off-ball linebacker is extremely important here. Very, very important in this specific matchup. So I don't know. It is what it is. I guess we got to get over it, right, dude?
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, we definitely got to get over it. And hey, Jack Sanborn having a game will be a good way to get over it. But honestly, we've been talking about the defense here for a minute. We do need to talk about the elephant in the room, and you did talk about it a little bit with Bradley Chubb getting traded to Miami. Dude, Miami's got some fucking killers in the front seven, man. And this is a situation where we're protecting Justin Fields is going to be very important. I do think there is some things to expose. They're giving up currently on defense 100 yards per game, which honestly, that sounds like enough daylight for us to get something going. You know what I mean? Because most teams aren't going to be able to run as efficiently as we do. I mean, we're averaging 188 rushing yards per game, So I really think this would be a good situation where we get a little bit more consistency on the offensive line. Cody Whitehair has the potential of being back this week. I don't know. He's actually not sitting on the
no, he's not on the injury report, and he got activated. I think he's going to play.
Yeah, so that's a big step in the right direction. It's still kind of up in the air of who's going to be snapping the ball on Sunday, but Who knows? There's a good chance to actually have a pretty good front five out there. I mean, Larry Borom looks like he's going to be out with a concussion once again, which again, I don't know where this concussion ended up coming from.
I wonder where that. Yeah, I wonder because dude, man, like it makes me worry. We saw Taylor Gabriel and 2 years ago where his career ended because and I think he's had a few concussions, but I don't know Larry Borum's concussion history. And like usually when they're out for a few weeks, I'm starting to kind of get worried for the guy, to be honest, because that's a bad sign if he's taking multiple weeks out from a concussion.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something to it's something to monitor for sure because while Riley Reef has played well last week, like I never want to see somebody go down to injury, especially a concussion, because a concussion is just something like you lose a piece of you that you never are able to get back, and I feel like anybody will be able to say that. I actually saw an article that I read the other day that it really fucking hurt to read with Sam Shields. I don't know if you caught that, Lucas.
I did not catch the article.
Yeah, no, he was talking about how he just wishes he never played football in the first place because of what concussions did to him, and kind of how once football's over, everybody kind of stops caring about you. It's a really good read. I'm not going to go into a full concussion discussion right now, but if you want to look that up, even if he is a former Packer, it's a great fucking read. But yeah, I will say, Riley Reef though, he has played better. He played incredibly well, and he looked like the guy that we signed. So, that type of stability, I understand wanting to be able to develop a guy like Larry Borom or, obviously Alex Leatherwood's kind of on the up and up if we're to believe what it means by him being activated. But we need to be able to protect Justin Fields. While we do believe Justin Fields is him, like he's just him right now, like no fucking doubt. But like we still want to see more. We still want to see what he is fully capable of. We want to see what the hell he peaks out at this year. And, see what we can build on going into next year. And we're only going to be able to do that by giving him some fucking protection up front,
Well, and I do think Chase Claypool does help that a little bit.
I think the guy we haven't even brought up yet.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's a perfect fucking segue, Duke. Good call. Nice setup, brother. I appreciate that. Our transitions are coming along. But no, I think Chase Claypool does make a difference, and I don't know how much he plays. And we kind of talked about it. I forgot who asked us last week, but who do they think is going to be wide receiver 1 through the rest of the year? We do think it's going to be Mooney, but I wonder how they're going to work in Claypool this week, right? Like he's only had a couple walkthroughs and a practice. Are they going to have him on the field 30% of the time? Are they going to have him on the field 70% of the time running go balls is just like a fucking diversion, right? Of just being like, hey, if you don't cover me, we're going to throw it over the top, right? So I'm very interested to see how they're going to use him. We had the route tree. I did not think his route tree was as elaborate as it is. He's not like a polished route runner by any means, but he does run quite a few routes. So that's nice to see for someone as athletic as him. But yeah, man, I think that's going to open things up for Darnell Mooney. I think it's going to open things up even more for the run game. I don't know. We're in a different place, like as down as we are about the defense right now. You look at fucking N'Keal Harry, Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool and Cole Kmet. So you got all these big motherfuckers. And then even Darnell Mooney described it as like, yeah, I'm just the shifty guy in the middle. Like cooking with grease a little bit. Fuck,
yeah.
Use the Roquan quotes. Damn it.
Oh man, that was a terrible fucking time to quote that. But I mean, it is really fitting though. It is, because that's the nature of business. But yeah, no, dude, Claypool adds a lot, man. He just being that outside threat, just being that decoy to a guy like Darnell Mooney, outside of everything that Claypool does insanely fucking well, and as being an impactful receiver, like the idea to have a big body that defenses have to pay attention to, like it's gonna open a lot of things up. I think we're gonna see a little bit more of what we saw with Justin and Darnell Mooney last year, where as much as we can, I don't even want to get down the A-Rob train, but at least he drove a little bit of attention away from a guy like Darnell Mooney, where him and Justin Fields could really start fucking cooking. And that also opened up a lot of what Cole Kmet did as well. And even into the point that we segued from, like being able to have more consistency at tackles gives us the opportunity to actually move fucking Cole Kmet away from the line of scrimmage, where yes, he has been great as a blocker. There's absolutely no doubt about that. The coaches love that, but Cole Kmet he's so much more polished of a receiver to just be used just as a blocking tight end. You know what I mean? It's almost like, and I feel like somebody brought this up earlier on in the year. I don't know if it was us or if I heard it somewhere else, but like, it's almost like it's almost like a double-edged sword. It's like, yes, you're a tight end that's great at blocking. It's just like you're so good at blocking that they want to only use you like that. And it kind of sucks because like you don't get the opportunities in the passing game that you probably should be getting. So
I mean, even some people were down on George Kittle because they were having some O-line issues and they started keeping him in line to block a lot more and make plays that way, right? Like it happens, dude. And it's especially in this offense, it happens. But yeah, I agree. Like having Reef there, in my opinion, and that's why I don't think they're going to do a ton of shuffling on the O-line. I think Whitehair gets slotted back in if he's healthy enough to go. That's my prediction. He is. We're still going to see Jenkins. We're still going to see Mustipher. We're going to see Braxton, and then we're going to see Reef on the right side to keep some consistency as well, right? Because they already did a kind of a shuffle there a little bit in the mini bye week. So I don't know. I just feel like Whitehair was playing at a high level. I wouldn't move him to center just to get Mustipher off the field as much as we don't like him. He's not that good at center, to be honest. He's a much better guard. Not in terms of blocking, but a lot of bad snaps. I'm not that Mustipher snaps the ball incredibly, but
I mean, and I actually got in a conversation with somebody on Twitter about this the other day. I think it was like Cork City Bears or something like that, which, hey, shout out. He's a good follow. He was talking about the potential of moving Whitehair to center. And I just think you lose more than you gain by moving Cody Whitehair to center, because I think Cody Whitehair has played by far his best football of his career at guard, whether it's left guard or right guard. I mean, he is a guy who can absolutely play a little bit of everything. If you fucking absolutely need him to ever play right tackle, I'm sure he'd be able to fucking pull that off. But like, he is at his absolute best at left guard. He has looked the best. And I don't think you gain enough by moving him to center, because he's going to peter off a little bit from his normal production at center, because he has to make calls at the line as well, which is something I believe he does at guard as well, but it's something that he hits forced to do while being able to snap the football and worrying about a cadence and not being able to snap as well as he does in the first place. I just think you have to live with like trying a fucking Mustipher there, or even trying Michael Schofield there, because I'm pretty sure Schofield does have some career starts at center from back in his career as well. Like, I think you mess with that and don't mess with a good thing that you have at left guard. It's kind of like the Tevin Jenkins setup. You know what I mean? Like, yes, you could probably put him in a tackle spot. He's been playing very well, but with how well he's been playing at right guard, like, do you really want to fuck with that? And that's how I feel about Cody Whitehair. I feel like you don't gain enough, and I don't think the offensive line as a whole will be better, because that would just leave Schofield at left guard, which he's probably going to play nearly the same at either left guard, center, or right guard, where Cody's just not going to play the same at center.
Yeah, and I think it helps a lot too. And one thing I would like to call, I know Duke knows this, but I'd like to call to a lot of people's attention. Pay attention when the center is snapping, especially on the road. A lot of the time, the center has his head through his legs, the center has his head forward, and the guard is actually the one looking back for the signal to then signal to the center, hey, snap the ball, right? Because it's tough for you to have your head under your legs in shotgun and then get back up and find your right place, right? So that is something to notice. And I do think Cody Whitehair being there gives some stability to Braxton Jones, a lot of stability to Braxton Jones. He's able to help him out a ton. And I think it's going to make the left side of the unit a lot stronger as well. So definitely think Cody Whitehair needs to be at left guard as long as he's healthy. No doubt about it. But yeah, go ahead. No, you please. I got nothing.
Okay. I mean, I feel the same way. I thought even back when James Daniels was originally playing center, I thought a guy like Cody Whitehair and even Kyle Long at the time at right guard were holding his hand quite a bit. And that is something that's very beneficial, and that's something that I think we called back in the preseason. I'm pretty sure the very first preseason game with Braxton Jones left tackle was Cody being able to kind of bark at him on the fly and be able to be like, hey, get to that. You know what I mean? Like, do you see that? But I like that a lot. But getting back to kind of a point that I feel like we need to elaborate a little bit more on, I feel like we glanced over it, is the Claypool, because I feel like in the situation that he's in, when you trade for a player like this, I think the number one thing that the coaching staff wants to do is they want to meet with him. And I'm sure they've already done this, but they want to meet with him, sit down with him and be like, hey, what are your gas plays? Like, what are the cheese plays? Like, what are your favorite plays that you ran in Pittsburgh? Like, what are the concepts? What were the setups like with the play? Like, describe the play, like maybe even write it up on a board. Show us like what you did extremely well. And I think you can incorporate you can find similar plays or similar ideals like through what Luke Getzey already does on offense and kind of give him that kind of small playbook to start out with. You know what I mean? Like kind of be like, hey, these are the plays we're going to use you on when we bring you in this week. Obviously, we're going to continue to build on this on a week-by-week basis, but we want to make sure that when we do have you out there, we're going to have you comfortable. I think there are some people who might think that Claypool is going to play like the entire game or something like that. I just don't see that to be the fact. And if he were to play a significant snap count, I think there's going to be a lot of plays where he's going to be used as that decoy type thing, just have a big body, big type of like weapon type thing on the field. But I think where it's really going to be is I think he's going to be on a bit of a snap count. They want to get him integrated. Obviously, getting traded is it's very mentally fucking exhausting, regardless if you like the trade or not. You know what I mean? There's a lot that goes into what happens. And I think you're going to see it around the league with most guys that get traded. It's going to take a little bit to kind of get them integrated. So I don't see anything different. I would not be surprised if he played a very limited amount of snaps. Kind of on a more extreme example, think of like when we traded for Khalil Mack and we had him fucking ready to go week 1 against the Packers. Like as dominant as he was in that game, he was still playing on a snap count. You know what I mean? Like it's a situation where you just need to bring him in, get him comfortable. Don't try to throw too much at him. Get him in a rhythm, maybe, obviously get him some targets to just kind of get him in field on a little bit of a timing thing in real game action. And then I think next week is when you kind of start to ramp it up a little bit more and you start getting him really involved in the offense and you're able to kind of work things around him a little bit more. So, yeah, no, it's going to be cool. It's going to be awesome to see Chase Claypool on the field. And it's going to be really nice to see a guy that just looks like a legitimate threat out there. No offense to Ekenberry St. Brown, but I mean, come on. I mean, I don't think he was instilling fear in anybody at any certain point.
No, yeah. I mean, so here's my thing, right? Like, I think which I think the Bears are going to be able to do is run the ball, and I think they're going to use that strategy quite a bit. So we might see a little bit more 12 personnel or 11 personnel, but 21 personnel with a fullback, right? Like, I think we might see a little bit more of that. So if there's only 2 receivers out there, I don't think Claypool is going to have a high snap count. But if we're running 3 and 4 receiver sets, I think that he will, because they're just going to fucking send him on goes. They're going to be like, hey, so this play, you're going to line up all the way to the outside and just run straight, brother. So there's that aspect of things, right? I do think that they're going to have like 3 to 4 scripted targets for him, right? Hey, these are the 3 plays that the ball is coming to you. If you're covered, if you're fucking double covered, it does not matter. Try to make a play on the ball because you're the only read. We're getting you the ball, right? And then I think you might see him as a diversion a little bit to take the top off. You might see him get like an extra target, maybe 2, if Justin Fields is going to test the deep ball, right? But otherwise, I don't think you're going to see a ton of him. I think the snap count part is interesting though, right? Like, I think targets you're going to have to put a limit on because, like you said, you have to work him into the offense. What routes does he do really well? What does he feel most comfortable doing? How can we work that into our offense? Like, that takes fucking time. It's not going to just take 1 or 2 weeks. Like, they're going to be developing this playbook and probably getting it primed for fucking next year, to be honest, with what they're going to be able to do with their weapons. So I don't know. I think you're going to see him make a few catches. Who knows? Maybe one's a fucking big one over the top for like 60 yards. But I do think he's going to have some role in the offense this week. Like I said, and designed like, hey, you're running a slant here. Fucking, they practiced that play 20 times already this week, right? Like, just he was going to meet up with him after to get timing down and stuff like that. So they're going to work him in. You don't make a fucking trade like this to not use the guy. It's just going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah, no, and honestly, there's still always the potential that, like, if he starts getting hot in the game, like, you feed the hot hand, you know what I mean? So, like, if it's a situation where the Dolphins are just flat out having issues with Chase Claypool, like, hey, you can make that work. You can definitely make that work on the fly. Like, I don't care if Justin has to tell him what fucking route he's going to run before the play. If Claypool's cooking with fucking grease, then we're just going to fucking toss some water on that, man.
Lucky Spags is a real point that he brought up. I'm still worried about hands, though. He doesn't have the best hands. That's very true.
No, I mean, it's the Braylon Edwards effect. If we're going to be totally fucking honest, it's the Braylon Edwards effect. Braylon Edwards, if you guys are not familiar, he could make catches that like very, very few wide. What's that?
Did he go to Michigan?
He did go to Michigan.
I think he's on Bears Twitter. I'm not sure though.
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who say they went to M, but I don't know what the fuck M means or whatever emoji that kind of, I don't know. I don't know, man. A lot of people say a lot of things on Twitter that I don't totally buy, but hell, I mean, if anybody knows, I've been dealing with some bullshit the last few days of one man network. So, you know, you never know. But anyway, to the original point, the Braylon Edwards effect. He is a guy who, like, he can make catches that very few fucking wide receivers could make. Like, he can make cartoon catches, like things you see in Madden that you get upset about. Those are the type of catches that Braylon Edwards can make. But then he would have plays that where you could hit him in the hands in stride and it's just going to fucking hit the ground immediately. Like, it's just one of those things, you know? Like, Claypool can make these insane catches. Like, he can jump over fucking people, make those throws, especially with, like, more. I feel like the longer he plays in the league, the more he understands that he has to use his body to his advantage. I think the more you really see those types of plays because you see glances of it. But he does. He has those situations where it's like his feet are running faster than his hands are catching the football, and he's like already looking ahead. And there, you know, I feel like you're going to hear Chris Collinsworth say shit like that every single week. Like anytime there's a drop, is like he was looking ahead to that touchdown he was going to score. He just didn't pay attention to actually catching the ball. And you're going to see that with Claypool from time to time. You know, it's just one of those things that's part of his game. But the upside of what he can do insanely well is just so much, like, so there that, like, you have to continue to try.
There's a lot of untapped potential, and I would be, you know, I would assume that he's going to work into, especially if the Bears don't, you know, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but don't draft like a top 10 receiver. The free agent pool isn't great, so unless they make a blockbuster trade like, you know, the Browns did for Amari Cooper, or the Dolphins did, Claypool's probably going to be slotted in as their wide receiver one. I would like to see him in a premier featured role, you know, getting him 8 targets a game to see what type of production he could have, because shit, man, the sky's the limit. And like I said, we talked about this a lot. I was super high on him on coming out of the draft. I fucking loved him. I mean, dude, he's built like Megatron. Like, he's literally built like fucking Calvin Johnson. I know that's not a comparison you can make, especially at this point, but fuck, dude. Like, dude, you said,
you just made Bears Twitter fucking
explode. Use your body, man. He's an inch shorter, and I think he's heavier than Calvin. So, like, he's not a normal human. In the same light as like Cordell Patterson and N'Keal Harry, where when you see them lined up on the sideline, if you were to change their number to 62, you would think they were a fucking defensive end. So
62, huh? That's your defensive end number. Is that your final answer?
I just fucking picked a number in the 60s. Okay, are you happy? What else?
No. I would go with 69 personally, but I mean, I'm just a different breed. But I think a point that we do need to bring up as well is if for example, because we were just talking about how Claypool could start going off, but like if it is a snap count to that point that like we kind of think it is, we're going to see a pretty heavy dose of N'Keal Harry this week, which is honestly pretty exciting in its own right, you know, because like this is a guy that before Chase Claypool was traded for, like that was like our great hope, you know what I mean, was what can N'Keal Harry look like, the X receiver of the future? Can he play like how he looks? You know what I mean?
I still like him, man.
I do too, you know, and I think,
to be honest, the way they implemented Harry over the last 2 weeks coming off of IR, that's how I imagine them implementing Claypool, right? Like, we've seen a little bit more of Harry each week. So I think that's exactly how you're going to see it. And I'm still very fucking excited for N'Keal Harry. I like it, dude. I've said this so many times. I was sick of having Kansas City-like receivers that were built like fucking rabbits. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted these motherfuckers built like stallions. And that's exactly what we have now. We have a bunch of fucking dudes that if you catch the ball in the screen game, you better bring the lumber. Otherwise you're not going to fucking get them down. You know, catch the ball over the middle of the field and they take a hit. They're not going to drop the ball. Like, none of that Kadarius Toney shit. As much as I love Darnell Mooney, I want guys that could fucking hurt people. And another thing too, that's really slipping under the radar. Now Velus is really only going to get used in diversion and gadget play type roles. I think he can actually do some very good things. So now that he's got no pressure to produce as a receiver, and honestly, that's almost like a little bit of an admission from polls. Maybe we were too high on him. Maybe we drafted him a little too high. So we need to go get a couple more weapons and go get Harry and go get fucking Claypool. Because if he was progressing at a different rate, maybe they don't pull the trigger.
Well, dude, and honestly, like this is where Velus has had a couple really good plays the last few weeks, kind of like in that motion run. You know what I mean? Being able to get him in motion, be able to get him the ball, get him in space where he can beat somebody to the sideline. Like I like that because we've seen it and seen it used effectively. Now it can be used as a decoy. This is where we see some Luke Getsy. Like, is Luke Getsy getting it? You know what I mean? Which I think Getsy's starting to get it.
Yeah, and all of them have hit so far. So knock on wood. I'm surprised that like they haven't caught it up yet, but Bayless is so fast.
This would be a good week to fucking kind of cheese that. You know what I mean? Kind of similar to how against New England, Justin used his fucking batted balls at the line of scrimmage to his advantage on that touchdown to Herbert. You know what I mean? Like that type of craftiness is what's going to make this offense tick. You know what I mean? Because we have the talent to make plays like that happen. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking like I want some like replacements types bullshit, like type offensive plays. You know what I mean? And that's the type of stuff you do. You know, you fake that and you run with Herbert like opposite side of Velus, where Velus is running to the sideline, and obviously he's going to get some attention from a safety, potentially the corners over there, and you have like a Herbert or Montgomery being able to hit like off tackle, like that can hit, man. That can be a really good fucking running play. Or even a play action on that, you know what I mean? A play action where you immediately have like, say you have Cole Kmet as your left tight end on the line, and you have Velus come from the right side of the slot and try to go onto that play, and you fucking play action that have Cole just run a fucking a crossing route and just be able to hit him right there in the boundary and be able to get 6-7 yards on that, maybe even more if he can get some yards after the play. Like there's a lot of potential with that. I love decoys. Like I'm not big on just doing motions for the sake of motions, but when things like that work and you can use that to your advantage, that's where you get crafty. And I feel like Luke Getsy, if he's able to take advantage of that, I think that's the next tier of him as a offensive play caller.
Well, and you think about it like that guy in motion, if you put him in motion on the same jet motion to different sides 12 times a game, right? Only one of the times you give it to him. Maybe the defense will catch up and only tackle him for a 3-yard gain. But so far, he's been getting 10, 12, 15-yard type gains, right? So first down, chain moving type games. And that's great. But the reality is now some of these linebackers are going to start following him out of the box. And that is going to open up, like you said, that middle of the field passing game. And then it's going to also open up some really great opportunities in the zone running scheme. So I don't know, man. Maybe lay off the guy. Just fucking leave him alone. He's obviously not the greatest. He's not a finished product, and you kind of expect that from a 25-year-old, but the fuck are you going to do now? You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is.
Yeah, and I mean he's not taking punts anymore, so like I'm happy with that. Which
yeah,
I hope that continues to hope that continues to not happen. I mean, I don't mind him on kickoff, but let's fucking chill with the punt returns. But anyway, we are starting to kind of lock her down here towards the end. Honestly, just kind of wrap everything up on the offensive side of the football. I feel like a lot of the concepts that we were talking about are the ways that we're going to be able to take advantage of a pretty good secondary. Xavier Howard is a guy that's very, 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 very good at being a corner in the NFL. It's a guy that we're going to have to pay a little bit of attention to. That's where it's going to be nice if we do have Claypool out there to maybe draw a little bit of attention over there to get Mooney on a better matchup with the other guy over there, Noah something. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name.
What happened to Byron Jones? Didn't they trade for him? Wasn't he like the best?
Byron Jones, I believe, is on the IR.
Okay,
yeah.
He's still with the Dolphins, right? Because I was wondering, like, I'm looking all over for his stats and shit. I don't see anything registered.
Yeah, so he had an Achilles injury, and he will not be activated this week. Marcel Louis Jacques of ESPN reports.
Well, that's a fucking break. So yeah,
because Byron Jones, like we talk about, like when we talk about Kyler Gordon being athletic, Byron Jones is a freak. Like I think he might have the highest vertical in all of football, which is kind of insane for somebody who's like 6'1". So yeah, no, that's a big plus not having to deal with him. So like there's ways to expose that for sure. Wouldn't mind seeing Justin take some shots downfield because I believe the safety room is a little bit banged up for them as well. Eric Rowe, off the top of my head, I think is somebody who has been banged up this week at practice, and that's probably one of their better secondary pieces as far as safeties go. So yeah, there's definitely some juice there, and obviously we're gonna have to run the football. You know, that's just the reality. Like we're insanely good at running the football. Being able to get Justin out in space. Like I said, being able to draw coverage, being able to get some things open up on the outside. They do have some pretty good rotational pass rushers to be able to spell if they were going to try to do something like that or possibly play contain. I feel like after what he did to DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons last week, I don't think guys are going to try to drive on a straight line towards Justin Fields anytime soon. So something to kind of pay attention to. It's going to be nice to see if Justin can get through the guards potentially if something breaks down in the pocket and be able to kind of attack the middle of the field as a runner compared to killing the boundaries as he did last week.
Well, and that's the thing too. As a defense, they're giving up like 370 yards a game, right? They're giving up over 100 yards rushing. I think they're one of those teams that does control the clock a little bit more, and their best defense is their offense because they're a little bit more built to play the pass than they are to play the run. So there's times where they've gotten a lead and things of that nature. I feel like sometimes when you're just playing a team like that, you feel like you need to throw the ball more. Cough, cough, the Bears in fucking 2006. But realistically, I think that there's a lot of potential for the offense to do well. And I think that their defense is built by big names in different spots, but not a complete defense by any means, right? And like them trading for Bradley Chubb, you would think he's going to be on a snap count, but even still, like, is Bradley Chubb that upper echelon, right? Like, is he the Myles Garrett of the world or the Nick Bosa's of the? No, he's not. He's very good when he's healthy, but he's had some health issues, and I just don't put him up in that category. Now, he's definitely someone you have to game plan for, but I just don't think he's someone that moves the needle like one of those elite or top 5 type pass rusher guys.
He's a premium position. He's not a premium player.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I agree with that. It's gonna be interesting to see like the type of snap count they use him as well. I mean, dude, they still have Melvin Ingram and stuff like that on the outside, so they're definitely gonna be able to get creative. Andrew Van Ginkel, if he ends up playing, by the way, former Wisconsin Badger, he's someone who's pretty good at getting a pass rush as well. He can do a little bit of everything from the outside. Definitely a situational guy more than anything, but somebody that can definitely do some damage. It's going to be a good test for the offensive line. If we're going to roll with this offensive line moving forward, this is going to be a really good, a good test because they definitely have some guys that can get to the passer. But I do think you hit on a really big point. While there is talent on this defense, I don't think it's totally come together as a unit quite yet. I don't think you see the type of defensive discipline that you see, for example, in Chicago, where everybody kind of plays off each other and it's not just kind of individual performances. So that's definitely something that you can expose. And, like we said at the top of the show, they give up quite a bit of rushing yards. We're very good at rushing the football. So I could see that being pretty heavy in the game plan. But anyway, Lucas,
I got a good bold prediction. I'm ready for it. I'm ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
So my bold prediction is that the Chicago Bears gain 450 yards of offense, and 350 of those yards are going to either come from Justin Fields' arm. No, let me give it 475 actually, because we'll get 125 rushing. They're going to come from either. No, 450. What did I say to start? 400.
Yeah.
400. I'm staying at 400 because I forget that Justin Fields rushing yards.
You started really going up there.
No. We're staying at 400, and Justin Fields is going to account for 350 of those all-purpose yards between his arm and his legs.
That sounds like a really nice prop bet.
I mean, that's hard to mesh him because then you got to pick like, okay, what's he going to pass for? What's he going to rush for? There's no like all-encompassing. I'm sure someone has a prop out there on one of the sites, but either way, yeah. And I remember I alluded to this last week. Now that we're in the winding down portion of the show, I did end up pulling the trigger on Josh Allen, and Justin Fields is not my starter moving forward in fantasy football. I traded Josh Allen for Justin Jefferson, Michael Carter, and Kenyon Drake. And yeah,
Jefferson is nice. That's a good pull.
It's a good piece back, right? Like I just like my core a lot. So yeah, Justin Fields, he's the guy moving forward. He's QB1.
That would be a trade back in the day that I would pull off if I had like fucking Phil Rivers on my team, just because even if he was fucking terrible for a week, he's still getting you like 25 points. So yeah, no, that's an easy move, dude. Especially when you have Justin Fields, who, if I'm correct, he's been QB2 as far as fantasy goes.
4 weeks. That's what I'm saying, dude. Even if he has a game with no touchdowns, he's rushing for like 60 to 80 yards. You're getting like a minimum of. I need Yo, what's up, Jay Billis?
Yo, what's going on, Jay Bills Games? I'm pretty sure you follow me on Twitter. I think
Yeah,
that,
he
yeah.
follows
Let's
us.
say what's going on, my dude.
He's the
It's
man.
always,
It's a good interaction. Shout out to Jay Billis Games. Go follow him. I forget his Twitter name, but go follow him on Twitter.
yeah, for sure. I mean, dude, he's always interacting with our tweets. So I mean, go ahead, hop on any of that whenever you see him. But yeah, it's good to see you join the show, my friend. Caught us a little bit towards the end, but you always got the podcast version, or you could just watch this again and keep pumping up those views. We really like all this interaction, dude. Like, dude, my when I see the view count every week, like oh my gosh, I don't want to describe what I can do because this is a family show. But anyway, my bold prediction. I gotta stop like thinking interceptions because that's always that's what I always want my bold prediction to be.
Do something on offense.
I know. I think Justin Herbert Khalil Herbert. I can't believe I just pulled that. Fucking hell. I think Khalil Herbert has 125 and 2 touchdowns.
125 and 2 touchdowns. Now you're going to disrespect David Montgomery like that?
No, I just think that Khalil Herbert will. Dude, so much less attention gets taken when Khalil Herbert's on the field compared to David Montgomery because teams just know that if they don't fucking load the box on David Montgomery, if they don't try to pay enough attention to David Montgomery, that he will just completely gash him. Whereas Khalil Herbert, he still has a little bit of that wild card sense where he has games where he goes off and he has games where he is a little bit quiet. So yeah, no, I think he's going to go off. He's also starting in fantasy just because I have like 6 people on my fucking bench. So I kind of need him to have that type of game. So yeah, no, I'm saying Khalil Herbert has a big one. 125 yards, 2 touchdowns.
That's a good one. I like that. That's bold. By the way, Spags, he just asked what it's either Jay Bills Games or Jay Billis Games, but it's spelled exactly how it looks on the screen. JAYBILLS GAMES. That's where you can go follow him on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, hey, and he's on YouTube. I don't know if you have anything going on our YouTube channel, but hey, shoot him a sub as well. And hey, shoot us a sub while we're hyping you up, bro.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, thanks for joining the show. Score predictions. What do you got, Lucas?
I think the Bears continue their trend of throwing up 30 burgers, and I think it's going to be the Bears put up 38 and the Dolphins put up 27. 38-27 Bears.
All right, I like that. I definitely think we're scoring at least 30 points. I think this is I think Spag hit it earlier, and I think we were talking about a little bit earlier. Like this is going to be a shootout because I just don't think our secondary plan with our middle linebackers right now bodes well with what they do well, especially when it comes to sure tackling in the middle, man. And they're going to definitely hit some slants to Tyreek Hill. It's going to fucking pop off. Like this is a game where you just have to accept that Tyreek's going to get like 100 easy on us. So like, as much as I hate to say that, because I hate Tyreek Hill, but I'm not going to get into that. Like it's a situation where you just kind of have to accept defeat on it.
But I wonder, do we bracket him with Bojack the entire time and just try to take him away and then make them beat us with Jalen Waddle, Mike Gesicki, Jeff Wilson, and Raheem Mostert?
You have to, honestly, dude. And like this would be the game for them to use Gesicki, but they have just not used Gesicki like consistently enough for me to be too worried about him, which is a shame, dude, because Gesicki is one fucking hell of a tight end. I'm surprised he didn't get moved at the deadline, if I'm being totally honest, because he's just being wasted right now. But yeah, no, I could see that. I could see Eddie always being over the top on Tyreek. Because, dude, if they're going to kill us deep, it's going to be with fucking Tyreek Hill. Like, Tua's going to throw a fucking lollipop to him over the top, and Tyreek's going to be able to come down with it because he has, like, fucking 10 yards of separation.
Well, that's why there can't be any broken coverage, because there's a lot of times here where if he puts it over the top, Tyreek Hill's gone for 6. As someone who had Tyreek Hill on their fantasy team up until recently, like, traded my whole fucking squad, but he's not putting it over the top. So if you have safety help there, yeah, but if it's a broken coverage where Tyreek Hill can slow down, turn around, catch the ball, turn back around, then it's fucking over with. So we got to make sure we're assignment sound.
Well, dude, like I said earlier, I'm cool with fucking Brisker playing up, potentially even playing sub linebacker if that's what we have to do, if we're getting in a situation where we're just getting mollywopped in the middle. But like Eddie needs to be over the top the entire game. Like, he needs to be fucking chilling, playing center field. Like, if not following Tyreek on that side of the field, like, you chance Jalen Waddle killing you deep before you do fucking Tyreek Hill. That's just where we are as a reality. And that's what makes their offense so damn dangerous. Like, but we already got into a lot of that. Score prediction, I got to say, I hate that you picked 38 because that was what I thought our score was going to be. I actually
want to change mine to 34-27 now. So you can take 38.
All right, I'll take 38-31 then.
Cool. Works.
I think we definitely score over 30. I think the offense is rolling right now. I think we play pretty damn juiced up on the offensive side of the football, knowing that we have a guy like Claypool. And I think we end up scoring a touchdown with him on the field just by him being a decoy. And I think a guy like N'Keal Harry is somebody that they're not going to be totally game planning for because they're going to be thinking about Claypool, Mooney, and the fucking running back. So that could be a situation where you go off. My bold prediction was almost Cole Kmet, but I still don't trust that we're going to get him involved enough to be able to justify that pick, unfortunately, because obviously Getsy loves him as a blocker. But man, that setup for him in the top right corner of the end zone in the Cowboys game was just beautiful. And that's exactly how I love using my tight ends. And that's exactly how I love using tight ends like Cole Kmet. So I would like to see that trend continue, but we'll see. So yeah, we got that. We got bold predictions, score predictions. Yeah, dude, let's go win a fucking football game on a Sunday, man. You know, it's been a fucking range of emotions all week. I've been arguing with Bears Twitter. Lucas has been arguing with Bears Twitter. We've all been arguing.
A lot more so Duke, but yeah.
But I mean, it is whatever, dude. It is my mission to argue with people who do not have their actual face on their profile picture. Like it's actively a mission. Like everyone knows me as the burner killer. Oh my gosh, they're probably gonna kill me for that one now. But yeah, no, it's a good place to stop before I get in too much trouble on Twitter because I'm already gonna start some fucking wars later. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling frisky. But yeah, this has been Barely There podcast. I'm Duke Coughlin. You follow me at that pod guy Duke on Twitter. As always, I'm joined by the Ayatollah of Capicola, Lucas Perfetti at Lucas Perfetti 46. People probably fucking hate it when they have headphones on and they hear me singing that, but I don't care, baby. Let's win a fucking football game on Sunday. The Dolphins suck. I fucking hate Tua, honestly. Like, I hope he stays healthy. I don't hate him in that sense, but I think he is just so overrated. So let's just destroy Tua. Let Travis Gibson just absolutely go ham. Also hate Tyreek Hill. I hate the Dolphins. Mike McDaniel, you're cool, but
I see him having a very similar, and I'm not saying like in terms of offensive mind, but I see him having a very similar to Nagy type arc. Like, oh yeah, it's new, it's young, it's refreshing when he comes in, but then like, you know, someone's gonna realize that they can knock their coach out, and it's gonna be like, oh man, do I really respect this guy? And I think we might see the wheels fall off. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe he's able to run a Shanahan type ship, but I feel like it's not the best long-term solution at coach. That's all.
Yeah, no. I think his hair probably bugs me more than anything. It offends me to the level of like Mark Trestman's hair. So I think that's probably the biggest thing that bugs me about him. Anyway, I feel like that's a good place to stop. This has been Barely There, and bear down.
Bear down.